Welcome to the Chad Chong Podcast, where we have conversations about performance, production, and everything in between. I'm Chad.
And I'm Chong.
And Happy New Year,
Happy
Chong.
New Year, yes.
Yes, welcome to 2023.
Yeah, man. It's looking good.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's raining pretty hard, though. This is Southern California, by the way, where we've been in a historical drought for like 20 years.
The bomb cyclone or cyclone or whatever.
Right now, we're getting this atmospheric river, whatever that means, which you're actually traveling
That's
into.
right. Yeah, this weekend.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that? You know, since it's the new year, and we've said this in past episodes that January is usually a really, really slow month for musicians because of the holidays, December, Christmas, all the gigs, and then people are usually just tired and they want to reset, and there's not a lot of events happening. Matter of fact, one of the biggest music conventions usually happens out here in Anaheim, NAMM, or the National Association for Music Merchants. I got that acronym.
But you can't tell them what NDA is?
I don't know what NDA is, no. They hold NAMM usually in January because they know that's the slowest time of the year for the industry.
Right.
Not a lot of people are touring,
That's
or not a lot of not a lot of things are happening. But you have been busy already, and you've already done a gig, and actually you've also done a studio date. And then you're going up to the Eye of the Storm, which is in Northern California.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be going out to Modesto, which if you don't know where Modesto is, it's Northern California, about 2 hours away from San Francisco. We're going out there with an artist named Ana Barbara, performing, I think it's called the Gallo Center Theater, I believe. And it's Saturday. And so, funny enough that you brought up the storm situation, two friends of mine that live up there, my buddy that was supposed to, I wanted him to give me a ride to the airport on Sunday morning. He was like, dude, you should make sure that you're going to be able to get back to the airport because the rain is supposed to flood like a lot of the highways. So I'm trying to figure that out as we speak, like how I'm going to get back home, or at least to the airport and then fly back home. We also did a Catalina event. We did the Catalina Island Casino Ballroom, which is a legendary venue.
Is that the Catalina wine mixer too, as infamously said on Step Brothers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's when you take the Catalina Express ferry, you'll see the big round building on the right hand side, which is awesome. It's an awesome venue. But we were able to do their New Year's Eve event for the Chamber of Commerce for Catalina Island. I went straight to the kiosk and I told them, look, I need to get back home a little bit earlier. Is there any way that I can change my 11:50 departure time? Because I still had Disney on Sunday. Yeah, the next day. And so, and they were like, yeah, you can go ahead and change it. And so I asked, what's the earliest I can do it? And they're like, you can leave at 7:45. Like, but I'm just going to let you know, more than likely, nobody's leaving the island tomorrow. And we're like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? They're like, well, there's a wind advisory. Apparently, there's 8 to 12-foot waves that are going to be, happening, and the ferry will not operate, in that day. So the planner for the event says you have another option. She's like, and it's totally on you if you want. She says, you can take a helicopter ride, but the only thing is it's $125. And I was like, man, am I going to pay to go to work?
Yeah.
Or should I just call, my friend who's able to sub in for me, my buddy or Norman handle the tracks? Because normally at Disney, I'm running tracks as well. So I just, made the call and I said, you know what? I'd rather just be safe than sorry. And I just canceled on Disney, and had my buddy sub in instead. And it went well. It went well. But yeah, and then now this thing coming up. And funny enough, I was just talking to David. David's actually behind the camera. You can't see him today. We were doing a studio session with him yesterday, and we're doing one today right after this. So we're starting off the year strong. But I might have a gig that I got through a friend of mine playing Apex Legends.
Oh.
Yeah. We've never met in person.
Is this a musical gig?
This is a musical gig. I think it's a Moroccan theater in Hollywood. Is that, or you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So it's a possibility. I don't know. So that's pending.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's new for you guys. If you don't know Apex, it's actually a video game.
Yeah. I have two friends of mine that I've made. One lives in Hesperia, and I've invited him to several Disney shows. He's not been able to make it, unfortunately. But it's crazy, man. Like, you just, it's it's like social media. You get to know people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're literally talking to people while you're playing. If you play PS5 or Xbox, you know the whole deal. You put on a headset, you're playing games, and you're just making friends. If you play with the same group of guys over and over, you just get to know them and stuff like that. So, what about you, man? First week of January?
Yeah. I'd have to say I'm complete opposite of you this year, but in a good way, because both of us were extremely busy the last quarter of the year, and actually I was hanging out with family. I didn't make it till midnight. I'll just say that. I was in bed and I had the TV on, and I don't remember anything else after that. But but even during Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, up until even yesterday before our session, I was already getting hit up, through text from clients. Some clients needing mixes, another one wanting to get back in the studio. And I actually had to make the proactive approach of not responding right away.
Yeah, that's good.
One of the theaters that I work at in downtown LA has already hit me up for 3 different dates this month, which again is really rare. And I responded back to one email, but I tried not to for the rest. And when I did respond back, they responded back with like 2, 3 more. So that's why I was like, I really want to try to just relax and, take a little bit of a break. My girlfriend Michelle surprised me with a Universal Studios pass.
Nice, which you're trying to convince me to get. Yeah.
So the big ticker that kind of just pushed us over the edge was the fact that Super Nintendo World is opening up.
That's epic.
In February. So she kind of surprised me with that. So we actually went to Universal for like 2 straight days, the last couple of days right before our session yesterday. So I was really trying to enjoy, and as we make those New Year's Eve, New Year's Day resolution, reflecting back, I'm like, I did so many things last year, and I never really had time to celebrate and enjoy and sit in it. And maybe you're the same way too, but as freelancers, as entrepreneurs, we're always thinking of the next thing.
Exactly.
And we kind of have to, because of survival. We really don't know when the next gig is coming.
Right.
And so even though like you just played Disney and I just did the Emmys and all this, it's like, okay, well, what's next?
Exactly.
So you're already thinking, okay, I don't have anything lined up for next week. Who do I hit up? Maybe they need a sub here. Maybe and it's one of my things was just really trying to enjoy the moments and be intentional about the time that I have, because you also kind of have to trust in the work that you put in right prior to where you are right now, and trust that the gigs will come hopefully, but you have to prioritize yourself. And so all that to say, this week obviously we're here in the studio, we're doing this, we're in the studio with David working on some stuff. And then, have a couple gigs coming up near more the end of the month. But, prioritizing yourself and not always hustling. And I think both of us, ironically, intentionally put in time for that, because we're both taking a little bit of trip this month.
Yeah. So, where are you going? Yours is a little bit more exciting than mine, kind of on the edge, but
it's about time that I go take a little real vacation. But going to Hawaii.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go next Saturday. Actually, gonna go for about 5 days, and usually I go every year. Actually, one of the cool things is back in high school, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. Never been up until that point. And then senior year, we had a choir trip in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And every single year since my senior year, I've been back. And again, here's the cool thing about it is I've been back never like on my dime.
So that's amazing, man.
I've always either been flown out there because of something, or ironically, one of the artists I play with, AJ Raphael, we've played almost every single year there.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so we would always, do a little vacation and hang out for a couple of days and play a couple shows out there. And, and then I met my girlfriend, 6 years now. And so we've gone every year because she's from Hawaii. And so I didn't get to go during the pandemic, obviously.
Sure.
And that was like 2 years. But I did go last year for 1 full day.
You went to Oahu, right?
I did. And it wasn't supposed to happen. But my older sister and her family went, and she was texting her family thread, and she said they're going to Aulani, which is the Disney resort.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's mad expensive. I definitely can't afford that on a musician's budget. But I was just like, I have enough points to fly out there. So, long story short, I literally had a gig the day before flying out, I flew a red eye. I got it, not a red eye, a late night, got in late night to Hawaii, spent the next day, the whole day with my sister. And I flew out the next morning, like a 5 a.m. flight to LAX, then got to LAX, went home, took a shower, ate dinner, and then I flew out to the East Coast to go to another show with AJ.
Wow.
So that was kind of my little thing. But yeah, I'm excited to go, for 5 days in the next week here. Where are you going?
I'm leaving to Sacramento on Saturday morning, right, from Ontario Airport. And then to come back home, I'm flying back to Ontario, which is great. Mm-hmm. We're going to do Disney in the evening. It's the last day of the show.
Disneyland.
In sorry, you're right. On the 8th, wrap up the season. My brother's going to come with my sister in her car with my girlfriend. And I'm going to exit the cast member parking lot, meet somewhere like at a gas station, give my brother the keys to my car. Okay. He's taking my car back home, and my sister's taking my girlfriend and I to the airport, to LAX, so I can fly to Orlando, so we can get into Orlando with a red-eye flight next morning.
Oh,
and we're going to meet up with Sapin, Lyle, a lot of our friends out there in Orlando, which, amazing individuals and friends of ours. Sam has never been to Disney World, and I've gone twice with Andrew Sapin, which, Sapin, shout out to you, man. We've done all 4 parks in one day. Do I recommend it? No. Definitely not. And it's also, I should say, the reason behind the trip, main reason behind the trip is it's my girlfriend's birthday next Thursday. So, we've never done anything like this. And so, we were able to arrange it and make things work. And we're going to be flying out on Sunday night. So, I'm taking basically 2 flights on Sunday,
That's pretty crazy.
And you're telling me it's crazy. I'm like, how are you doing that? But hey, man, you just got to make it work.
This is what we have to do as musicians, because literally, like, we don't control when things are happening and things like that. But, so we have to take the jobs when it's not a 9 to 5 where you clock in. There's a regular schedule. It's like we have to take it when we can.
Exactly.
And if we don't, again, intentionally put aside time and actually proactively, make time for ourselves, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because there's always the next gig and the next job and whatever. So, I mean, I'm glad we're both, taking some time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. We talk about the grind and how important it is to make sure that your voice is being heard, that people are seeing you, social media presence, posting, just being active, as much as you can because you want to get the work. But it's also equally important to make sure you have instances and moments and vacations, as we call them, to decompress. Make sure you get that time to yourself, kind of reevaluate where you're at. Prioritize again if you need to. We're starting off the new year, so like, what are some of your New Year's resolutions that you set for 2023?
Career-wise,
sure.
Yeah. I think I was just talking to David actually about this yesterday, and again, like, the tough part about doing what we love as our career and our jobs is we have to do it still because we still have bills to pay. But there's also kind of that thing of, hopefully you're at a spot where you can take certain gigs that you want to take and not have to take.
Sure.
And so, that's kind of a big thing that I really want to focus on this year is protecting and preserving my creative energy. Again, like last year, just to be super transparent, I was barely in the studio the last quarter of the year because I was so much into live and doing other gigs and live gigs. And again, because, we have to, and, bills are coming. And so you have to pay those bills. But, I'm glad we started off this year with 2 back-to-back sessions. Yeah. And, we're in the studio, and again, it's with friends. And, we had such a blast yesterday. I've known Chong for a while, and I've both played with him as musician, as a friend, and I've hired him as a musician, and he's absolutely extremely professional. I highly recommend him as a drummer.
Not yesterday. Not when he's hungry.
For the first time ever. That is the most I've seen him just like out of it. Yeah. And, but I quickly figured out that the reason was he just wasn't fed. Yeah. So, thankfully David, being a great, client and friend, he's like, I'm going to get you guys food. And remarkably, as soon as we got food, you knocked out the song.
Yeah,
like
and
one
then
or
we
two
realized
takes.
we had rhythm charts, and that and that helped a lot, you know.
We did write out charts,
Yeah.
so but yeah, just having sessions like that, with friends, and again, understanding that it's about the journey and not really
Yeah.
the destination. That's really what I want to focus in more, just spending more times with friends and just, loving the journey and
Yeah.
having more of those moments.
That's great.
Pushing for this podcast,
Yeah.
thank you to everybody who's been watching and supporting, David being one of them.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of messages on Instagram and even through text messages of just, friends and supporters who are just like, man, like, thanks for sharing your insight. And, so we're glad that we're able to hopefully inspire you. And I think the cool thing about this podcast is we both don't claim that we've made it,
Right.
or
Right.
that we've, been on all these crazy hit records and tours. It's like, we're on this journey along with you,
Yeah.
and we just want to share exactly what we're going through at exactly the current time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and
good.
hopefully you're on this journey with us, and you kind of get to see our highs and lows. But yeah, I mean, I really just want to enjoy the moments more, and obviously still shooting for the skies for all the goals. But I think
sure.
the important things is just enjoying the moments.
Yeah.
What are some of your goals this year? And
So I really want to make an effort to post more, of things that I'm doing, things that I've done in the past, maybe things that people didn't know I've done, or places that I've played at. Trying to create more content for my friends and, for new followers and stuff like that, just because it's something I enjoy doing, and I have so much footage. Man, dude, I have over maybe 2 terabytes worth of footage sitting on my hard drive,
That's a lot of work.
and I was like, man, I'm not doing anything with this. And it just sits there, and I'm like, okay, what can I do? And so when we came up with the idea of doing this podcast, it was like, yeah, let's share as much as we can, with our friends and with new listeners and viewers, but equally we want to. We were talking about individually, like, what are some of our goals, as far as content creation. In fact, we had this conversation last week separately, off air, like if we're on a radio station. But yeah, we were talking about what are some of our things that we want to really push, and it's also content creation on our own channels. Chad has his own YouTube channel as well. I have my own. That's I'm not really too active on, but that's something I really want to change this year, man. And obviously just continue to practice. I want to buy a couple drum sets, and I say 2, which is a blessing to be able to say that. But this year, one is for performance, and another one just to have at home for more studio work. It's great for tax purposes. I will say that.
Yeah.
Any investment you make into your career as a self-contractor, if that's what you do, if you claim to be 1099, it's amazing. That kind of stuff, you can write all of that stuff off. Food expenses, Starbucks runs that we have over here.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy New Year. We've got so much more in store for you,
Yeah.
both together as a Chad and Chong podcast and individually as Chad, and his name is actually Kevin, Kevin Chong. So yeah, thanks again for your support. If you're new to the channel and you're watching on YouTube, please, click the like button, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. It really helps us a lot. If you're on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, make sure you rate it, give us 5 stars, leave us a review. Again, it really helps us. If you like, the content that you're seeing, help us push it on your own Instagrams and, on your stories, and just share it with your friends. Again, we're hoping to push a lot more content on social media. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And again, if you like what you've been listening to, thanks to these great microphones by MXL. So thank you, MXL and Mark Bilderbach, for helping us out. Really great microphones for a really great price. So, you don't need super expensive mics to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, for those that have been reaching out to both Chad and myself, yes, we're working on artwork, and yes, we're working on a song for this podcast, and hopefully we will have that out ASAP. We'll see you guys in the next episode.